Welcome back to The Explainer. Today we are diving into a huge topic, and we're going to break it down using your study materials to really connect all the dots. The question is this: how can one single species, us, change an entire planet?
So to really get our heads around this, let's start with a number that is, well, it's pretty mind-blowing. If you could take all the life on Earth, every tree, every insect, every whale, every single microbe, humans make up just 0.01% of that. We're barely a speck.
But here's the kicker. Even though we are such a tiny fraction of all life, our species has caused the loss of an estimated 83% of all wild mammals. So how is that even possible? How can such a small group have such a massive impact? That right there is the central question we're going to unpack today.
And here's how we're going to do it. We'll trace the story through 5 key sections, starting with how things got so out of balance. Then we'll explain the greenhouse effect, look at the crises that result, and finally talk about what we can do about it.
Okay, so first things first. At the very heart of this issue is a fundamental imbalance. Simply put, our population and our technology have grown so fast that we are now demanding way more from the Earth than it can sustainably give. We're taking too much, and we're putting too much waste back, mostly in the form of greenhouse gases.
You can think of these gases, especially carbon dioxide and methane, as the main characters in this whole drama. In the right amounts, they're actually essential. They keep our planet warm. But when we start pumping way too much of them into the atmosphere, they trigger this entire chain reaction we're talking about.
So how does that actually work? Well, this brings us to the greenhouse effect itself. And what's really important to get is that there are kind of 2 versions of it. There's the natural, healthy version, and then there's the one we've created.
This slide lays it out perfectly. The natural greenhouse effect is like Earth's perfect blanket. It traps just enough heat from the sun to make life possible. I mean, without it, the planet would be a frozen ball at minus 18 degrees Celsius. No thanks. But the enhanced greenhouse effect, that's what we've caused by burning fossil fuels. It's like we've piled on a dozen extra super heavy blankets. The planet can't cool down, and it starts to seriously overheat.
And that overheating? That is exactly what we call global warming. Now, this is the key point. It's not just about things getting a little bit warmer. This is the first domino that falls. It's the action that kicks off this massive chain reaction across the globe.
And this is where things get really interesting, because once that first domino falls, it starts a massive ripple effect. Global warming isn't one single problem. It's the trigger for a whole cascade of crises, with each one knocking over the next.
The first ripple hits our water. A warmer planet completely messes with weather patterns, so you get catastrophic floods in some areas and crippling droughts in others. On top of that, a lot of the water we do have access to is getting polluted by farms and industries, making it unusable or even dangerous.
And of course, if you have a water problem, you're going to have a food problem. This hits our food security hard. That extreme weather we just mentioned, it wipes out entire crops. Poor farming methods can ruin the soil itself. And then, to make it all worse, we waste a staggering 1/3 of all the food we produce.
The next domino is biodiversity, the rich variety of life on Earth. As we expand our cities and farms, we destroy animal habitats. We cut down huge forests, which are literally the lungs of our planet, absorbing CO2. You add illegal poaching to that mix, and we start losing the very species that keep our ecosystems healthy and resilient.
And that leads us to the final domino in this chain, our waste. We create literal mountains of trash. And as all that waste frots in landfills, it releases methane, which is a greenhouse gas that's even more powerful than CO2. So our trash ends up feeding the very problem that started this whole mess. It's a dangerous feedback loop.
Okay, I get it. Looking at all of this together can feel really overwhelming. It's easy to feel powerless. But this is the point where we shift from the giant global problem to something personal, something we can actually do something about. Let's talk about the carbon footprint.
A carbon footprint is really just a simple way to measure your personal impact. Think about it like a footprint in the sand. Are you stomping around leaving a big, heavy mark? Or are you treading lightly? The goal for all of us is to make our footprint as light as we possibly can.
And here's a really great, simple framework to help us do that, the 6 R's. It starts with rethinking our habits, then refusing things we don't need, like single-use plastics, reducing how much energy and water we use, reusing things instead of just throwing them out, recycling what we can't reuse, and finally, replanting native trees and plants. Each one is a real, concrete step anyone can take.
So, the big question is,
Does all this individual stuff actually add up? Can we really solve a problem this huge? Well, history actually gives us a surprisingly clear and honestly a really hopeful answer.
Let's go back to the 1980s. The world was facing another massive environmental crisis, a giant hole in the ozone layer. Scientists sounded the alarm, the world actually listened, and countries came together to ban the chemicals that were causing the damage. It was called the Montreal Protocol. And you know what? It worked. The ozone layer is healing. This is absolute proof that when we act together, we can fix the damage we've caused.
And that brings us to our final thought for today. We've seen the problem, we've traced the chain reaction, and we know that global solutions are possible. So, the question left for us is, what's our generation's Montreal Protocol moment going to be? That is the challenge, but it's also the opportunity that we all face together.
To keep this important conversation going, please share this explainer with your friends, like it, subscribe for more breakdowns, and you absolutely have to go follow Mr. Chi. He's on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube, putting out more incredible content just like this. Thanks for watching.